Sometimes we're just not quite ready to let Mother Nature take over with the fine lines and gray hairs, and that's why hair dye was invented. For those of us who have been dyeing, highlighting, glossing, and toning our hair for years, it's more than the cosmetic aspect of trying a new color. It's a part of history that is deeply rooted in preserving a certain beauty era in our lives.
Hair dye is a great way to express yourself.
I think it's awesome. I've always wanted to dye my hair, but I'm afraid of it getting damaged.
Personally, for me, it is part of how I express myself creatively.
Why is dyeing our hair sometimes frowned upon? Is it rebellion or fear of the unknown? The truth is, hair dye is both art and science. A way to express who we are, but also something that must be handled with care. Hair dye is a powerful tool for self-expression, from subtle highlights to bold rainbow colors. It allows us to showcase our personality and creativity.
I mean, I have considered dyeing my hair before, but I think I don't know what color I would dye it to first of all, and I feel like I know that hair dye can damage your hair, and I feel like I'm just comfortable with my natural hair color and it suits me the best, so.
Although some people might be scared of hair dye because of the damage, it can be safe and beautiful when done responsibly. Using ammonia-free or organic dyes, following instructions, and nourishing your hair after treatment can prevent most damage.
I would totally dye my hair. In another life, I have all pink hair.
During COVID, I was very bored in my house, and my mom sprayed my hair blue.
When I was in college in a theater program, we had a costume designer who loved to push the limits on what he could make the students do for a show. And so when we did Merchant of Venice, he found out that everybody in Venice at that time in history, the men had their hair dyed red. So all the men had to get their hair dyed red. And I was blonde, so then my hair turned pink. And so then I had to get it dyed back to fake blonde.
When we see brightly colored hair, who do we picture? A teenage girl? A pop star? An artist? Well, for decades, hair dye has been heavily marketed towards women. Beauty industries promoted color as a way to enhance femininity to appear youthful, polished, and attractive. As a result, society often associates hair coloring with women more than men.
I feel like I mostly associate hair dye with like girls because I feel like you mostly see like girls dye their hair more often, but I do know that like guys like bleach their hair, things like that. So, but generally in my mind I associate it with girls.
Probably it's associated a little more with people who identify as female, and I think that stems from a little bit of, unfortunately, a tendency to, especially being a woman of my age, like a recognition of like ageism exists, and it's particularly harsher for women. We have an expectation of having to look younger than our age, much more than men do. I personally, you'll notice, don't dye my gray. I only use dye, again, as self-expression. So it always is a little disappointing to me that, you know, as women, we often use it because we feel we have to.
Well, I do associate hair dye more with women than men, for sure. And whether I like it or not, all depends. I mean, I see some people who dye their hair and it's like, wow, that's what an attractive look. I see other hair dye where I say, boy, you are crying out for attention. So I think it depends.
If we're talking about like society as a whole, women typically dye their hair more. But like, if you want to dye your hair, dye your hair.
Hair dye is reaching a turning point. Once it was used to blend in, to cover grays, to match trends, to fit society's idea of beauty. Color was often about conformity. But today, something has shifted. Hair dye is no longer just about hiding or fitting in. It has become a form of self-expression, a way to stand out, to experiment, to tell the world who you are without saying a word. Hair dye is no longer just about changing how we look. It's about embracing who we are.